My friends, one of the things that I most love about the Irish is how beautifully understated they are. I mean, long before you started adding vodka to espresso and calling it a martini, the Irish had been adding whiskey to their coffee and they just called it coffee. Now, Irish coffee is one of those drinks that is so obvious and so ubiquitous, it seems hard to imagine that it ever didn't exist. Like, in the beginning, God, sipping his Irish coffee, created heaven and earth, which frankly would make a lot of sense. But it turns out there is an origin story for the Irish coffee, and it goes like this. It was a dark and stormy night. No, really, it was. In 1942, passenger flights across the Atlantic are very rare and very, very risky. Aviation technology just isn't up to the task yet, not to mention the fact that there is a world war going on. Now, as it happens, the last bit of terra firma between Europe and North America is the town of Foynes on the far west coast of Ireland. And Ireland, unable to decide who they trust less, the Germans or the British, has remained neutral in World War II, which ends up making Foynes an oddly international town. So on this dark and stormy night, a plane headed to North America has to turn around due to the bad weather. Aware that his lounge is about to be filled with stranded, weary world travelers, airport head chef Joe Sheridan whips up a concoction of brown sugar, whiskey, coffee, and cream. And what do you know? It's a hit. The following year, Sheridan's boss at Foynes, Brendan O'Regan, is hired to oversee catering operations at the newly built Shannon International Airport. Knowing, of course, the success of the drink, he takes it with him and puts it on the menu at Shannon. The other thing that O'Regan does at Shannon is launch the world's first duty-free. OG backer of the Irish coffee and the man who invented duty-free. Not all heroes wear capes. Anyway, Shannon Airport is where American travel writer Stanton Delaplane gets his first taste of an Irish coffee. He heads back to San Francisco, tells Jack Kepler, then owner of the Buena Vista in San Francisco, about how the Irish make their coffee, and Kepler is determined to bring the drink to America. The Buena Vista's contribution to the story is figuring out the exact consistency and age that keeps the cream from dissolving into the coffee, something that takes this already magical drink and makes it otherworldly, a feat I've plainly not mastered myself. So for our purposes, we'll just stick to the Irish coffee that I was raised on. Oh, that is gorgeous. That cold, rich cream and the hot, bitter and boozy coffee, separate until they combine on your tongue, is a marriage made in heaven. As for the apparent failing of the one separating into the other, don't worry. This isn't going to stick around long enough for that to really matter. Anyway, the sun is shining, Irish eyes are smiling, and I've got work to do. Cheers, my friends. And happy St. Pat's.